listening to the Orchestra Teacher Podcast. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Orchestra Teacher Podcast. This is Dr. Charles Laux, and we have a wonderful guest on our episode number 92. This is Stephen Lawrence-Carroll, who is just down the road here in Atlanta, Georgia. And Stephen is the orchestra director at North Atlanta High School and the Atlanta Public Schools. Welcome, Stephen, to the Orchestra Teacher Podcast. It's great to have you here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, well, you've done such amazing work over the years, and very active with GMEA, and chairing this and chairing that, and you really have given back to the state a lot. And I know I appreciate it, and all of the educators in our state appreciate all the things that you do. It's just great work, and we have a lot to talk about. So I'm going to let you just kind of introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background, and I know you're from this area, and it's a really cool story. So just tell us a little bit about what all that you have done and what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely. So, like you said, my name is Stephen Lawrence-Carroll. I am the orchestra director and fine arts department chair at North Atlanta High School, which is in Atlanta Public Schools. In just, I guess you want to call it my spare time, because that exists. I have done things like been the state chair for the Georgia Music Educators Association. I've been on different boards with at local level, as well as just done some things on the district-wide, as far as planning out all state events for our state and conferences, and done some stuff with ASTA in the past.
Yeah,
and
that's a lot of service. I mean,
Definitely.
All these things that you do, it's very time-consuming and a big time commitment, and you just give and give and give and give. And so that's something that, so many of us just really appreciate all that you've done.
Yeah. And the greatest thing about it is that you learn so much stuff about the state, all the behind the scenes stuff. There's so many things I would never even think about just as like a guest to a conference.
Right.
And now I look at it and I know someone put hands on that and thought about it. And that was a developed process. So
it's a level of appreciation that you just start to get. And I've gotten that from being on the ASTA board. Just like, holy cow, like all the things that make up a conference and the planning and the attention to detail is just it's crazy, Yeah. So that's okay. So then tell us a little bit more. You're at North Atlanta High School, and you have the coolest building. I've been there several times. It's like an old IBM headquarters or building. Yeah. And the district bought it, and it's like it's very industrial, and it's like multi-stories, and it's not a typical high school. Tell us a little bit about your program.
Right. So you're exactly right. An old IBM building our building is 11 stories. So the kids get to their classes by means of elevator, but they are very good about accessing all the stairwells. So it was two 11-story towers that they demolished one of them, and they built our athletics and fine arts department.
I see. Side. Okay.
And the really neat thing about it was that when we were in our old building, the contractors actually came to us and asked the arts department, what would you like in your new space?
So you've been at North Atlanta High School when it was the old building, and I don't even know where that was, because I don't think I was here then. It was a while ago.
Right.
How long have you been at your school?
This is year 14 here.
Yeah.
If you don't count that I graduated from there, so.
Yeah. Tell us about that experience, about graduating from a high school, and then you go to college. And where did you go to school again?
I went to undergrad at Loyola University in New Orleans. Right. And then I did my master's at UGA. And now I'm doing my specialist at Piedmont University.
And we'll talk about that, getting into that. Yeah, it's teaching while doing a degree is super easy, right? Everybody.
So much spare time,
So go ahead. Tell us about your program.
So my program, we have students ranging from beginning all the way up through what we call mastery, and students who are just doing it for a love of music, students who are doing it to really excel and go further on and later on in life. But we have been fortunate enough to do things like perform at conferences. Last year, we were grateful enough to perform at the Kennedy Center.
Oh, wow.
Which was fantastic. And then in a couple of weeks, we'll be heading to Carnegie Hall. So
very cool.
2 big back-to-back performances, and next year we will take a break.
Yeah, you got to do that. Holy cow! So DC and New York, or Kennedy Center, yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Very, very cool. And then I know that you had some accolades. Well, I guess it's been almost 2 years now. The CMA Foundation. You were one of the 30 music teachers of excellence.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Thing.
You're awesome.
Would love any and every educator should apply for that experience. You apply. It is a lengthy process, but they reach out to you by surprise and months later, and you find out that you got it. But once you are awarded this, and they choose teachers both locally in Nashville, teachers from Tennessee, and then there are national teachers.
Okay.
So I was one of those. The week that they bring you in, they flew me to Nashville. There was a day of professional development, which as a teacher at first, you're like, oh my gosh, professional development. But it was like stuff that you would never think about, like how to speak on your program, in interviews type things. And we met with the CEO of CMA, like that type of stuff. Yeah. But then later on that evening, we had an awards banquet, which they rolled out every inch of the carpet possible. And there were moments where like country music artists got up and spoke and talked about the impact of music in their lives. And there were moments where you're like, actually, no, I do that. That is important. And it was really touching, but they really did everything they could to make every teacher feel extremely seen and just admire or appreciate it.
Wow. Yeah. What an experience. And you had to have felt like a rock star at that point, like,
oh yeah, definitely.
The Grammys and or like a movie star, just doing all these cool things.
Yeah. And they give you a $5,000 grant where half of it goes to you and the other half goes into your program. And so we use that money to put the deposit down to go to Carnegie Hall this year.
That's perfect. Perfect. Yeah. I mean, when you get something for free like that, you can take advantage of it and it's going to benefit so many kids. How many kids are you taking to Carnegie?
52. There's 75 in total in the group, but 52 on stage.
52 on stage. That's going to be fantastic. I can't wait to hear more about it.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, so your program, how many students in your program right now? You have
90.
90. Okay. So, but in how many classes did you teach?
I have 3 orchestra classes. And I also teach AP music theory and IB music.
Oh, and IB music. You have both. Wow. Okay. And then your department chair.
Yes.
So you have a full plate.
Yeah. And luckily, I'm lucky enough to get an extra planning period for being a department chair, but every second of it is good.
And is the IB and AP class to combine?
No. The AP class is a prerequisite for IB, and they have to spend and pass 1 full year of AP in order to go into the IB class.
So, wow, that's a lot of classes then. It's 5?
5.
Okay,
and
5.
Yeah.
And then department chair duties. Okay. So that's amazing schedule. And then how many students are in the AP theory class and IB classes? Are they larger or smaller?
25 in AP theory.
That's
this
a big
year,
class.
And it is.
You got a lot of grading to do.
Grading harmonic dictations and all that stuff. And then there are 12 in the IB class.
That's pretty good. And for those that are out there don't know a lot about IB music, maybe you could explain what that is. I did it at Alpharetta, and it had its ups and downs, things I liked and things I didn't like. But tell us a little bit about your experience with IB music.
Yeah.
It's International Baccalaureate for those that don't know, and it's a worldwide curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
Or not even a curriculum. It's a testing. It's the testing, and it's not necessarily a curriculum. That was my frustration. Is it didn't give you a curriculum. It said, "Here's what the kids need to know. Go."
Right. Here's the requirements.
Right. Go.
And over time, it we just got done with all of our submissions. Today we're formatting everything. So we're definitely going through all the checkoff process.
You guys are on the ball. It's early, right?
Yeah. And we like to get it done because I have a lot of seniors and they are already starting.
They're gone. Goodbye. Yeah, I know.
Do they exist anymore? No, they're great. So for IB Music, it's a really, actually, I've learned to like really love it and appreciate it. So what they do in IB Music, it used to be the music history side of everything.
And it's like more music appreciation.
Right.
Yeah. And it changed. And that once I got it down the first way, then they're like, no, you're going this way. And so tell us about what it is now.
So now it is, it's kind of like experimenting with music. So it's a little bit more of an open concept where students have to take music that they know and music that they are not familiar with, learn everything about the music they're not familiar with, and remix those two things into one. So it's their ability to take what they know, what they don't know, and turn it into something new.
Yeah.
So it involves elements of performance where they have to submit their like an audition track. Basically, it involves elements of they have to write program notes on pieces, which when do we get that opportunity? But right now they've just finished up their most recent project, which I always say for spring semester because to me it's the funner out of the other ones, the fun. But where they basically they'll take a song that let's say like some opera or something, Queen of the Night, and they will say, I want to make this into house music. So they have to learn all of the elements of house music and they have to incorporate that step by step into it until it sounds like a full version.
That's fun. Yeah. That creativity piece I did enjoy. And and for some of the students of mine at Alpharetta, when I was there, that's where I did this. When they signed up for IB Music, these were the kids that just wanted that. They got a weighted grade for the music class, for their GPA, and the creativity part was, I think, the most difficult part for those students because they were the ones who were very centered in like, they could play the concertos and things, but now you have to take it to the next level. Of music making and creativity, and it was always a challenge for them, but I think it really did make them grow and become a lot stronger musicians and just more worldly, more aware of other genres, other styles, because there's that world music piece that and that is foreign to a lot of us, It's just the music of Asia, Africa, and all that. It's like we don't study that very much. Right. And it's part of that world curriculum. So them we just always take some time and do a deep dive into world music, YouTube or wherever we can find it. And everyone is supposed to come back with some interesting things that they found. But once they get into it and find out about the different scalar systems of like, different pieces or just different genres or the different instrumentation that's involved. Tuning systems too. And like,
right. And then they have to know enough about their own personal instrument in order to manipulate it to sound like those other instruments. So it definitely makes them think a lot about, and then some of them have started adding these things to their playlist and stuff like that. So it's good to see them branching out. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I guess I'm guilty too, is, the things I listen to is I kind of get stuck into one rut and then sometimes I'll explore I'm an Apple Music person, so I'll explore the Apple Music. Here's what's new, and I'm like, oh, I hate that, or oh my gosh, I love that. Like, and it on the classical side, even on the popular music side too. There's a whole bunch of new things, and it's always nice to expand once in a while.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Just giving them the opportunity to know that everything isn't going to go well. Like some things you're just going to mess up on, and then you need to reflect on it. And that's what is more about the process than the result in a lot of cases.
Yeah. And it's important for students to learn that. I mean, I think that's a big part of some of the assignments I do in class, just with regular orchestra stuff is you need to understand the how and how it happens and why it happens and not just the end result.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. And when it comes to technique, I mean, we were now that LGPE is over, our large group performance evaluation, and we can bring it down a little bit. We've gotten into the book again, and just doing some rote things today. The last few days since we started back up after our break, and it's very refreshing. And the kids sometimes don't like doing it, but it's just very refreshing to okay, let's reevaluate this and what our bow hold looks like, and let's just practice getting some good tone and focusing on some of those fundamentals again, and it's been really nice.
Does it?
Yeah.
I'm most jealous that you're done with LGPE already.
Yeah, well, I had it the February 10th and 11th. It's probably the first earliest window that you can go.
Yeah.
And then I got done with that. And I went the next day. I went to Texas MEA and did my sessions there. And then I came back Saturday morning and dumped out my luggage and filled it up with vacation luggage, and we went on a cruise. So I was on a cruise for a week, so it was super nice.
Yeah,
but,
really nice.
I hadn't slept in my bed since the first night was that Saturday, last Saturday, and it had been almost 2 weeks before since I slept in my own bed because I was gone and then gone again, and it was just crazy, but it was awesome. But February was gone.
Doesn't exist.
Yeah. So yours is in March.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you have a few more weeks because that's right. We had our camp scheduled the same time in January. Our Saturday camps, and they both got canceled. And then you rescheduled yours, and I didn't have time to reschedule mine. And
mine turned into a three event.
Ah. Okay.
To reschedule it, we had to break it up.
Wow. Yeah, it's tough. We had snow here in Georgia, and anybody that knows when snow happens in Georgia, we shut down. Even a little bit. We had quite a bit though.
Yeah,
so it was fun. Yeah,
and we had it twice.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was tough. It was a tough preparation season for that because you miss a camp and you miss a few days of school, and it does add up.
Definitely.
Yeah. So tell us, you said you're doing your specialist degree right now.
Yes.
And a lot of states don't have specialist as a thing. It's I don't know how many states do, but in Georgia you do have bachelor's, master's, specialist, and doctorate. And so tell us a little bit about your degree and how it's going. What you're working on.
Yeah, definitely. So right now I'm getting my EDS, my specialist in instruction and curriculum.
Oh,
because my goal is to get a certification in leadership.
Okay. You're going to take the plunge.
I want to be available.
Yeah. Okay. To do it.
I'm very happy with where I am.
Yeah.
But also want to have the opportunity in case I decide.
You never know.
Yeah. So I'm taking maybe 2 classes per semester. This is my second semester, and it has been a challenge.
Yeah.
Definitely. My weekends are filled with sitting in front of the computer.
Yeah. Writing.
And a lot of articles, but I'm doing my focus. And a lot of my articles are based on music performance anxiety.
Oh, wow.
Because that is something that I'm seeing across the board with my students, those who are my really rock star players and those who are just getting into it for the first time, they're all experiencing it. And a lot of times it catches me off guard that some students who I would think that would be super
confident.
Yeah. And so just researching ways that we can help students with that and give them the tools to process through it, because there's no getting rid of it. It's just learning how to cope with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And have you noticed, this is my theory, and I can't back it up with research or anything. It's just my observations. But I think after COVID, kids got a lot more timid about wanting to play in front of each other. And I don't know if it's me. And I don't know if it's from being home or maybe it's just me. But I kind of see that. And I don't know if you've seen that at all.
Yeah, I've definitely seen kind of a change there. Not willing to take as many risks.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of one of the reasons why I was like, we need to figure something out about this. Definitely have had some one-on-one conversations, some class discussions. We just did a class exercise maybe a couple of weeks ago. A few of my violin students were in class afraid to play out. Mm-hmm. And I was surprised by it because on their playing test, they submit videos on a weekly basis. Sure. And in their playing test, the tone is there. They're very confident and they're forward motion in the music, but then in class, it was not the same personality. So we had a conversation about it to find out that it kind of boiled down to a lot of the students were intimidated to perform in front of their peers, and they were more afraid of making mistakes and being the reason why a mistake happened. So instead of playing out, they're going to play a little more shy, and they're going to, they're going to play softly and wait for someone else to do it first. So we did an exercise where we talked about, we had this thing, and it might be the worst thing ever, but it's called flash test, where they have one measure, they walk in the room, it's on the board, the metronome is going, and they know that we're just going to go down the row, and each person is going to play that one measure.
The same measure.
The same measure.
Okay, but it's a tricky measure maybe, or something they had to work on? Okay.
It's somewhere that I want them to focus.
Sure.
Or maybe something that didn't go well in their last week's playing test. But they hyper focus on that measure, and it's called a flash test because we can get through an entire ensemble in maybe 2 or 3 minutes.
Right. Oh, that's a great idea. And is there 4 clicks or however many clicks in the time signature in between each kid, or is it like boom, 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 boom? How do you do it?
A lot of the kids prefer there to be a space in between. Sure. I just let them make their own decisions. Okay. Some are ready to get it out of the way, and they just are ready. They go. But it's only out of 5 points. Yeah. So it's not going to make or break your grade. It's just more so for me to check. Yeah. And I tell them if you feel like you didn't do well, you can come after class and do it a second time. But we're just all here to support each other. So we did a flash test, and immediately after we had a discussion where we talked about like what was on your mind during that, because they always go, I do better at home, I promise. Like if I sound better otherwise, but also we had a discussion about what were you thinking about during your flash test, and every single kid they had to write it down, but almost every kid wrote down, I was thinking about what everybody else was concerned about in my playing test, or what they were judging me on. And so the question came up, well, if everyone is concerned about everyone else, then who's concerned about you?
Yeah.
And so
I like that.
They had a conversation at their stand with their stand partner to talk about, well, what are you focused on when you're playing, and what things do you think in my playing test you heard that I could improve on, or what do I personally want to improve on? So they had that conversation at the end. We kind of came back. It was a good little 10-minute just a chat, but they came back to discuss that by being so nervous about other folks that they tend to disengage their focus on their actual playing. And so that conversation led us into our next thing, which is, when you get nervous, what are you focused on? And is that something that you're doing that is helping you to actually perform well? So re-establishing your focus. So if in this section, you know that section is coming up that has a tricky rhythm, or that out of nowhere shift or something like that, then focus on the technique that we talked about to make that happen. Don't focus on the fact that other people are listening to you do it.
Yeah.
So if you can put the energy in the right place, then that'll help to kind of balance that out a little bit.
These are really great strategies, and I hope everybody listening is just absorbing all this great stuff. I wrote down flash test. I'm stealing that. I'm doing that like right away because
you got it from me.
Because you need I always need not necessarily more grades, but I just need things that don't take up a lot of time in class or take up a lot of my time outside of class. Because I got 170 kids. I don't have time to be grading, that many tests all the time. But this is a great way to keep kids engaged, keep kids focused. And do you always tell them ahead of time what that measure is going to be, or do you kind of be like, it could be anywhere in here, and it's going to be one of the measures?
I do a mix. Okay. Sometimes I'll say ahead of time, hint, hint, nudge, nudge. This is an upcoming flash test. I like to conduct with my score from my iPad on the board behind me.
That's what I do too.
They know if there's an X there, then I'm thinking attention
about it. Yeah.
And I'll put it in big red.
Oh, nice.
But
yeah.
Sometimes it is just, it's the day back from break. Let's see what you remember. In that case, I may or may not put that grade in because I know I don't care about the grade, but I do care about you coming in the room and focusing on this spot that we need to focus on today in class.
That's fantastic. So you said it was a 5-point thing. So it's like 5 you got it, 4 is like you missed a little bit, 3 is And I mean, obviously with a 5-point, if you're equating that to a letter grade, 5 is probably the A, 4 is the B. Right. So, okay. Awesome. This is fantastic. See, this is why I do podcasts, because selfishly I learn, but of everybody else out there listening too, hopefully you're getting some really great ideas. But I really like that, and you could expand it, I guess, to do even 2 measures and a little bit, however you want. What are some variants that you've done?
We've done expansions where it's a quartet.
Oh,
but just in this section, or a section playing test. If there's a day where I really need to get to some other stuff, but I also told you there was a flash test, I'll make a deal where I say, and those are quotation marks over the word deal, that if you all do this together as a section and I say that is passable, then I'll give you a group grade. And so then they get in circles and
they're working.
They count each other off. And that's great. That's making them independent on their own learning, which is all that we really want.
Yeah.
There's another test that we do. So I told you I do weekly playing tests. And sometimes I just don't really have the time. So once a month, we do this thing called Friends and Family playing tests. And this is my focus is not their grade. I know their focus is the grade, but
true.
They have a rubric. It grades them on posture, their intonation, rhythm, bowing, all the things. But and I normally will give them feedback. I can do that a little bit more. I don't have 170 kids.
Yeah.
But for the week of the Friends and Family playing test, they had to perform their excerpt for a family member or a friend. But since all their playing tests are videos, they have to also record the feedback from that person on their video. Now, in order for that to happen, they have to explain to their aunt or whoever what intonation is, what is articulation, what is tone. So they can grade them. I tell them whatever grade they get on that test, I'll put it in. So that kind of takes it off of my plate a little bit. I do still watch them to just make sure they were done correctly. But a lot of times their scores out of 20 points. A lot of times parents will, be very nice and say, that was great. I loved it. 20 out of 20, 25 out of 20. As a matter of fact. But the bulk of the parents will say, I think that's about a 5 out of 20.
Oh,
you can fix that part. You can, and it's fun.
Yeah.
But on my end, I'm bringing the parents involved.
Yep.
I remember the times of being at home practicing and my parent walking in to see what was going on, being like, oh, nope. I'm done playing. And so they appreciate that. But then also it allows them to reinforce the stuff that we've been talking about in class versus getting in the car and the answer to what did you do today? Oh, we didn't do much in if anything.
Yeah. That's what did you do at school today? I asked my boys. Nothing,
right.
I'm sure there was nothing going on. Right. Yeah.
Right.
What did you learn? Nothing.
Exactly. And one of the rules is, although we do see them as family, like your pet does not count as family.
There you go.
So you
can't play for your goldfish. Does not work.
Right.
Yeah.
And a friend cannot be younger than you. Now, on one hand, playing for friends does get their friends involved. And sometimes I do get friends coming to ASTA to join Orchestra because it's a fun assignment.
Yeah, for sure.
So it works out in a lot of ways, but it does take that workload of giving the feedback myself. That takes it away, at least for that week.
Yeah. You're very organized, I know, and you have a lot of great things going on at your school. How do you build that community? What are some of the things that you do to build community at your school? Because I always sense when I visit that the kids are very tight knit and they love you and they love each other, and there's a lot of great things happening. What are some of the things you do besides just your awesome personality and all that? What are some other things that you do to build that community within your program?
Yeah. Well, everything is student-based or student-led. A lot of things. And I try to put myself, my program is set up like what I would picture a professional orchestra to be set up. So if my focus is on the music and the things, of course, that I have to deal with, their focus is everything else around that. So we have, for instance, like we have a student council, which a lot of people do. They meet twice a month, sometimes more, and it goes all the way down from our team of orchestra managers all the way down to like social chair, social media, and membership. But they do a lot of things that I can delegate to them that they feel like they have a voice in as part of that, as well as when they request something or they have a good idea, we make it happen. Like for instance, every year, our very first meeting, we have the whole talk about what your role is in the orchestra now. At the very end of that, we sit down and we discover 2 initiatives that we want to do for the year. So
this is an individual initiative, or this is like the orchestra program?
A group initiative that we want to do for the program. And we talk about what we see that a part of their application to be on the council is they have to fill out a SWOT form, string weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And those are related to the orchestra. So you have to be able to be aware of the orchestra in order to lead it. So when we talk about weaknesses or threats, and we talk about what people talked about in their applications at the first meeting, and using that information, we come up with initiatives. So for instance, one year, the threat that we felt like, and this was earlier on, was that, but it's always a threat, that art programs get cut first. And the students were very much so aware of that. So the initiative was, we want to brand ourselves in a way that every time you see something, a logo or whatever, it represents us.
Yeah, so that you have a great logo.
Yeah. And that logo, they voted on, they chose it, and they helped design it.
Nice.
So as soon as we got that logo and it was what they decided on, I put it everywhere.
Yeah,
it's on a wall.
That's what I mean. It's on the wall. You got it on your letterhead, and it's great.
And so that's part of it. The other initiative, and this is the one that kind of helps with what you were talking about, is that, and this initiative keeps going on every year, is that we want to instill a sense of community, and enhance our community as far as reaching out to our middle school, as far as within the program, but just more so making it a place where every student feels seen, heard, respected, and admired, or whatever. So they know that because it's our initiative, that means they have to go a little bit out of their way. So if we have, like, we do social events, and let's say we're at Scary Movie Night and there's a student doing homework over in the corner because they're shy or they're new to the program. Okay, as a council, our initiative is community. So we're going to go over to that student, make them feel welcome, learn about them, let them learn about us, and maybe make a new friend.
Break the ice, right? That's awesome.
And just giving them the tools to go and do that and say that is okay to do. And that's what we want to happen. It makes the kids kind of like be independent, but dependent on each other.
Yeah.
And because of that, they form these bonds, which is really nice. This is what I remember when I was in orchestra. And I'm not afraid to get in the middle of the circle and play musical chairs and all this stuff and make a fool out of myself just to have fun for a second.
Yeah. I did a cartwheel before break. I did that after LGPE. They're like, Dr. Luck, can you do a cartwheel? I was like,
wait,
let me in my room. I'm like, okay, let me stretch first. I got to stretch the hammies here. But I pulled it off, and I had like 18 kids video. There's got to be on TikTok somewhere of me doing a cartwheel. But those are the things we do, like for our kids, and just to be get on their level a little bit. I mean, not completely on their level, but close. Yeah.
They're so awesome. And sometimes the kids like that we tend to focus on like those high performing kids, but a lot of times those kids who are not maybe your first chair have these really great ideas and have a lot to offer if you give them.
They do.
Those kids who just seem to make a friend, every person they sit beside, and can't seem to stop talking, make them your social committee, because clearly they're going to talk to everybody. every kid has something to offer, even the ones who are there because they're being forced to be.
Right, right. And we do have some of those, and that's a great thing that I love about my program is I tell the kids, I told them today, because they're starting to do their schedules for next year. And I'm like, there's a place for you in this program. And whether it's, you want to be first chair of chamber orchestra, or you want to hang out and just come to class and play and like your friends, that's fine. I mean, we're going to still work, but at the same time, it's a different type of work, a different level of work, that different expectation, so that we don't have the same expectation for everybody, because that will just, I think it will thin kids out and thin the program out a little bit.
Yeah. And having those conversations usually make them trust you a little bit more when you're correcting them on stuff.
Yeah.
They know that you're really there for them and you're not putting them down.
Yeah. Yeah. Trust is a huge thing in my classroom. It's one of the big words on my orchestra wall is, trust. And it takes a long time to build it, but at the same time, it goes both ways. You have to trust me to do the crazy things to show you this or that, or teach you the music. And, and I'll trust you guys when we're going to Dollywood, next month, that kind of thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that kind of thing, It's not Carnegie Hall, but
it's so much. I've never been to Dollywood.
Yeah. No, I haven't either. So that was part of the reason a lot of the kids haven't. It's like, well, let's go, because we needed something that was kind of an easier trip this year. So it's only about 48 kids, small group, one bus, easy, 4 chaperones, one bus. And but yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah.
So I know that you had said that you went to North Atlanta High School, but tell us a little bit about maybe your trainings. I know you went through the schools there in Atlanta, and were you part of the Atlanta Music Project and all that, or is that not around when you were going through?
It wasn't around.
Okay.
I'm an alumni of the Atlanta Symphony Talent Development Program.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was.
I'm a part of maybe the third, I think, graduating class from that program. And what that program is a program that is, of course, sponsored by the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra, where Black and Latino students are able to get scholarships for private lessons from Atlanta Symphony members.
Wow.
During my time there, I started in the 8th grade. And I was able to go all the way through my senior year. And summers, you got scholarships for summer camps.
So who did you get to study with?
My teacher, his name is Frank Walton, and he just retired a few years ago from the symphony. But yeah,
monster player, and I mean,
he got me a long way, definitely, and got me. Had it not been for that program, there are a lot of things I probably would not have been able to accomplish musically. Yeah. But it helped me to college and everything.
Wonderful. That's so cool. That's really cool to hear that.
Yeah.
So, and then what's besides your big trips? Everything else on the horizon, or anything else that you're excited about, or you're going to be at ASTA conference?
I am. Yay. I'm actually one of the clinicians for NOF this year.
Oh my goodness!
High school clinician.
Holy cow! That's going to be a great experience. I forgot you were doing that.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I was looking at the program of the groups last week, and it's something really exciting.
There's some good groups coming through. Yeah,
definitely.
And I think it's the largest NOF that they've had. So
really,
if I'm not mistaken, it's it's got the most registrants, or close to it. I know it's done well. I know after COVID, it was struggling a little bit because it's expensive and whatnot. But that's great. Yeah, and then you presented at GMEA too.
Yes.
And I was going to ask you about that. Tell us about your presentation at GMEA that you did. It was with another person.
Yeah, I in partnership with Myra Roden, William Irvin, and Adam Brooks presented it was a panel discussion on collaboration. Collaboration in the classroom. So I presented on collaboration in the classroom. Myra presented on collaboration outside of your school and in your community. And William Irvin presented on collaboration as far as like getting sponsorships and corporations. So it was really nice. A lot of great information just about how to not be on this road by yourself.
Yeah.
And utilizing whatever tools you could to help yourself and your kids get better.
That's awesome. So you do a lot of collaborative work at your school with the other arts teachers or music teachers?
Yeah, we have some annual events that we do for sure. Like our holiday concert is always a full department situation, and then our musical, which is in a couple of weeks, is also.
Are you conducting that?
I am not.
Okay, that's a lot because you're typing your papers for your class.
Right. It is at the same time I'm judging in Gwinnett.
Okay.
So I won't be there.
Yeah.
But we do several things like the choral department. They're going to LGP tomorrow. We usually get together and we do our LGP performances for each other.
That's great.
Just to get feedback and just to see what else is going on. But in the past, like we've done the Messiah or different things. We do an annual kickball game against the band. Where
who usually wins?
Well, every year the winner gets a spirit stick, and we've had the spirit stick for the last 2 years.
Yes. So, go Orchestra.
Because the band is always they're ready. But not ready enough.
They're probably very bitter too.
Very much so. But no, it is all
that's great fun.
For sure.
Yeah.
All in fun. The teachers, we get involved as well.
I love that idea.
But yeah.
Yeah. Well, so many great ideas, and it's just so awesome to catch up with you. I know we played a gig together at before Christmas there, which was fun. Got to chat a little bit, but great to have you here. And for everybody listening, I'll share Stephen's contact information. Like you heard, he's judging, he's clinicking, and guest conducting, and doing all these awesome things. Definitely reach out to him. But Stephen, thanks so much for being here on Orchestra Teacher Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Episode number 92 complete. We will see you all later. Thank you for tuning in. For resources and more information, visit orchestrateacher.net.